Hey y'all. I'm trying to be on time today as best I can. I'm back to talk about some stuff that may not be that popular, but I gotta do it. You know how I go. I'll do some gossip another time to make up the difference. But we gotta talk about some stuff that's going on with the kids, with the schools, kind of, put our finger on the pulse of what's happening. So I'm kind of interested in this conversation and kind of excited to see if y'all got any input on it. Please hit the like button as you come in. Please and thank you if you hit it already. Thanks a bunch. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Join channel membership if you'd like to, and we'd be happy to have you. So I'm gonna get right into it. So first off, let me greet everybody that's here so I can go ahead and talk about what I want to talk about. Let's see who's here now. Deandra, how are you? Vita is here from Denver. Wani, how you doing? Got your calling cards. All right, pretty picture too. Hey, Cece, good to see you. Who else we got? Angie. All right, sis. Tasha Renee, you here? Uh-oh, I see Steelers Nation in here. Hey, Dana. Nisi Rose, how are you? I'm glad to see you. There's my Christian Key. All right, there's Glennis. She sent me a picture of some beautiful babies. Ooh, just plucked at my heartstrings. Good to see you, Tina. Hey, Lady 747. I'm glad you're here. Anybody else come in? They just come in. I doubt we're going to get a whole lot of traction because we're talking about something important, and y'all know how they go. When we're talking about serious things, we may not get a whole lot of conversation, but it's not going to stop us from talking about it. Hey, Zelfia's daughter, Pinky in the Brain, how are you? I'm glad you're here. So listen, I'm going to start by telling y'all what happened, right? I grossed 81. Good to see you. All right. So I want to tell you guys what took place because I don't want to, Sasha Ellis, hi. I don't want to just start talking about a topic and not let you know why I'm talking about this topic because this is kind of off brand. I won't say off brand for us, but it's not what our normal conversations are centered around, right? But so this is what happened. I went to pick up the youngest from cheerleading, and she and the other girls, about two or three of them, stormed the truck. They come running up, and y'all know how I go. I'm like, I'm everybody's mama, so it's just one of those things. And I understand it. You know how it is, y'all. Sometimes it's that way because other mothers have to work jobs where they can't be there when the children need them to be there. Either they don't have spouses to pick up the slack, or, y'all know what it is. Some of us may have been in that position at one point or another where you have to work and you just can't be there to pick the kids up, or you can't be there for every event or every extracurricular that they're involved in. So a lot of times I end up kind of standing in as everybody's mama. And I don't mind. Children need mothering. It don't matter whether they're yours or not. It's just kind of that way. Hey, DS. Hey, Naturally Rooted. So when the girls came storming the truck, I heard a bunch of mouths, mama, mama, mama. I said, what's going on? And all of them started talking at the same time to say to me, guess what happened today? I said, what y'all talking about? Calm down and one of y'all tell me. So one of the other young ladies who had been on the team with them, and it was so weird because, hey, JC, it was so weird because I had just seen this little girl the other day. She lived in the apartments because we don't live close to that school because we don't live quite in that area. We're kind of outside of that area. You know how that goes sometimes. Hey, Miss Netta. But my baby does definitely have friends that are in that area. So when I got ready to drop those, before I could even go and take them to drop them off the day before, I, sat there and talked with the children. I don't always want to, chew the fat with kids, but sometimes it's good to, so you can get an idea of who your children are hanging around, right? So I sat there and we're talking, and it was one young lady in particular, and she was noticing the henna on my hands, and she was like, oh, this is so pretty, and asking questions, and, really cute, tiny little kid. I mean, adorable child. But I noticed in her conversation that there was some very adult themes going on in her conversation and the way she talked, as opposed to the other young girls that were there. And so she mentioned something about, I know what it was. Okay, let me backtrack further. So we were talking that day about what happened the previous day. See, it's always something. And I hate to sound like I'm running on and on, but I am one of those mothers that I get all involved with the children. I want to know everything that's happening, who you're talking to, what happened in the classroom. I even let them sit down and give me the gossip if need be. But I want to know what's happening on that campus. Hey, Leslie. So what ended up taking place was the day before, one of the teachers was being childish. My daughter left her cell phone. She was supposed to bring it out on the field to her. She didn't. So when she went back to get it, the lady was like, "Oh, let me make sure it's your phone." And she's playing with the phone. "Oh, I'm gonna go through the phone," and she made her late, and that upset me. As a matter of fact, Egypt was on the phone with me that day, and I was like, "Listen, when I come to get my kid, I need her to be out at a certain time. When she's not, I start to panic, and my mind immediately goes to crazy places as to what could have happened to my child." Y'all know what I'm saying. So anyway, the kids came back. "Hey, Miss Sparkle," and so they were like, "Miss Nitra, Mama, Miss Nitra, that lady, she was nice today. She didn't say anything." I said, "Well, she's gonna be nice. I didn't attack her. I just needed her to understand that I panic." Hey, Sharon Foner. And I panic when I don't know where my children are. And so that's when the little girl says, the little cute one I'm telling you about, she says, "I get the same way about my nephew. And he ran off, he walked off, and I ran down and I found him at the park. And there was a grown man sitting next to him talking to him." And let me see what Sasha says. Sasha says, "I agree, Shanitra. I have a 13-year-old daughter, and I get the gossip for the day as well." Yeah, you got to, because you got to know what's happening. Hey, Latavia. And so I tried to explain to her at first, because I didn't catch on right quick, that this girl was very much grown, in her behavior. As like again, like I said, in comparison to those other children, she behaved like she was like older than she was. And so I was just trying to explain to her. I said, "Well, it's quite possible that the man that was there was probably trying to get information from him to find out who he belonged to." I said, "How old is he?" And she said, "Well, he's 6." I said, "Have mercy." So I, just explaining regular stuff, because I'm at this point I'm thinking I'm talking to a regular kid who maybe didn't understand. So I said, "Hey, maybe he had to get down to the child's level." A lot of times you do that because you don't want to intimidate or frighten a small child, in order to find out, "Hey, what's your name? Do you know your mama's name? Do you know where you live? Do you know where your mama is?" That type of stuff. And so she was like, "Oh, okay." And so then she starts talking about his mother's no good. And I mean, grown people talk. His mammy ain't no good. And um, all she want to do is like let him live a ghetto life because his daddy ain't got nothing. I mean, real grown people talk from a little tiny kid, right? So at that point, she starts talking about she raised the money to throw him a birthday party. And um, she mentioned something later about driving a car and fighting somebody at the park. And so I'm trying to, be a mother in the situation, like, "Well, baby, you shouldn't be fighting in public. It's not to say I've never done it, but you shouldn't do that. Try not to do that." I said, "And then if it's a large person or an adult, try to do whatever you can to get away and get home to your mama." This child says, "Well, it's 2 guns that I can grab." I say, "Hey, it's 2 what?" I say, "Baby, don't go carrying no guns." So at this point, y'all, the red light done went off in my head. She's talking about she's going to raise money to throw a party for a kid. And then she's talking about guns. Then later in the conversation, she starts talking about that if she could get some money, she's going to buy a car and buy her mama a car. And so I'm joking. I said, "Well, baby, you can't drive no car." And she said, "Well, I drive now." So at this point, y'all, all the red flags are going off, right? Oh, yeah. All the red flags are going off. So I went ahead after they all, gave me all of the gist for the day, put them in the back of the truck, drove them over to their apartment complex. All 3 of the young ladies live in the same complex. You say a lot of these kids have seen and experienced more than you have. I believe it. I believe it. This one may be one of them. So very next day, the remaining 3, my child and the other 2, came running up and they said, "Mama, mama, mama." I said, "What now?" And I'm looking for the little grown acting one, and I noticed she wasn't there. So they start telling me, "Oh, mama, can you believe she want to fight all of us?" Because I said, why would she want to fight you? Y'all were just friends yesterday. What took place today that didn't happen yesterday? Y'all were friends yesterday. You guys were cheering together yesterday. What happened? Oh yeah, she said that. I'm telling y'all, that's what happened. Like for real, for real. That's really what went on. Okay? And so they explained to me that this girl had like a marijuana vape. I don't know how those work, but I've heard of them. I think I've seen them. But to be honest, I don't know the tobacco vape from a marijuana vape. I don't know if it's the same thing. I don't know nothing about it. Now, I think I got an email from the district one day when we were on Good Morning Royals. And they were telling us about the kids having edibles. I think I mentioned it. And I remember thinking, like, y'all crazy. Why would little kids in elementary school and middle school have edibles? Like, that don't even make no sense, right? So, anyway, they explained to me that not only did she have the vape, she was going around offering other children a marijuana vape and asking them. My daughter said first, she said to her, "Do you smoke?" And so, of course, Emmy's like, "No, I'm not a drug addict. I don't want to do drugs." And so, Nisi, what you say, this generation, girl, it's a mess. I'm telling you. So, anyhow, I don't smoke. No, thank you. This girl apparently had offered multiple children to do this marijuana vape with her, turned around, and then she got caught on camera standing in the hallway just going to town. Now, what's funny about this is it was just the day before, y'all. When I dropped them off, I looked at my child and I said, "Now, you know, she seems to be a nice little girl, but you can't be too close to her and you can't hang too tight with her because clearly she can do things that you can't do." And it looks like she may be in a situation where either she has parents who don't care or who are not watching because her behavior seems to be a little more advanced than you. You can't hang around her like that. That's a at school friend only. Don't ask me not one time. Can you go to the movies with her? You can't do nothing with her. Okay? This girl is living a life that you ain't gonna never know anything about. Okay? So I just left it at that. And then the very next day, this is the information I'm getting. So while the children are relaying this fantastical story to me, because y'all, I couldn't even really grasp it or make any sense of what they were saying. Like I understood cognitively, but you know, in a real sense, like, is this for real? And so they're talking about how she was in there, the cheerleaders are changing out for practice, and she's just offering all of them this marijuana vape. She's like, "You want some? You want some? You want to smoke with me? You want some?" And so one of them went and they told. Good move. Now, a lot of them don't feel comfortable telling, you know how it is with our community. Like, we ain't even gonna play crazy. But one of them went and told because she was just like, it made her that uncomfortable. And so when their coach asked, all of them told the truth. Like, yes, she was. Yes, she did. So then this young lady went on to, you know, say that you all are snitching on me. Y'all are phony. This ain't right. And so now their response as a school is to put her in an alternative learning center, like an ALC or alternative school. I don't know what they call it in your area, right? Now, my concern is one, where did this kid get this stuff from? Where would a child get a marijuana vape? Is this something that they're stealing from their parents? Or are there people selling these to these children? Like I have all kind of questions on how a little kid, and when I say little, y'all, she's tiny. She's 14, but she's extremely small for her age. This kid had the drug and the paraphernalia there. So that was a lot for me to kind of figure out, like, how is this even possible? But the other thing is, where the schools are concerned, this child went through the entire day of school passing out or trying to distribute these illegal substances to other children. Was caught on camera actually smoking the vape. And yet no one at that school knew anything about it. No adults, nobody in charge was privy to any of it. This girl literally, when they went back and checked the camera, she was on the camera just letting loose right there in the hallway. So then it makes you ask the question, where were the teachers? Where were the administrators? Hell, where was the janitor when all this was going on? Yeah, Angie, and she got access to the pow pow. See, this is what has me extremely uncomfortable because you have to consider we may be doing our absolute best, ladies, to train our children properly, but this is who we sending our kids to school with. And we're sending them to school with teachers, administrators, and professionals who clearly are not vigilant. Christian Key said, I don't even know how to get one. So how did she get it? And no one at the school noticed. Who is paying attention? Nobody. Ain't nobody. That's my whole point. Nobody paid attention. This girl, from what I'm hearing from the girls, this girl was literally the entire school day with these shenanigans. Say sometimes they get it from older kids or adults she's around. Could be. Could be. Say, yeah, vaping and drinking at school is on the rise. Wow. So this is the thing too. Not only did they not notice it, the kids start like giving me more information that I was not ready for. Yeah, no parental supervision whatsoever. So they start telling me, oh yeah, a lot of them kids, that the clear adjacent children, and ain't that many pure clear children there, but a lot of the clear adjacents here in Texas, they said that they sit up and eat edibles and then they get scared and go to the nurse's office. Get this. Children are going to the nurse's office and telling the nurse, I'm scared I ate too many edibles. That they're literally getting high and laying around in the classroom. All of this is going on. And what the hell are the teachers doing? This is what I'm trying to figure out. That's why, my thumbnail is like it is. I have the question, are the children safe at all on these campuses? What is the real deal? Now, my impression of this young girl's behavior, hold on, let me get Nisi's comment. I think the world of online shopping growing enormously, things like this can almost be easy access. Okay, I didn't think of that. Well, this child may have other influences that aren't so influential. Okay, so there was a time they did the soaked gummies in vodka. I knew then it would only get worse. Okay, I never saw that. So the nurse is not telling the principal. Well, what they're doing, their answer to these children using drugs and bringing drugs to the campus is to send them to an alternative learning center, which is still a part of the school district. But my question for that is that even an acceptable response? And what is the right response for children taking these type of actions? The kids all know who is giving the stuff away and who they can get it from. Right, because my impression of this girl's behavior, which is what I was about to say, my impression of her behavior was that she was almost, out there trying to see who she could get to start smoking with her so they could start getting things from her. Or maybe it was an older brother or an older neighbor, friend that was going to be giving stuff to her so they could be buying from her. Like her behavior was very much like I was literally looking at my kid like, girl, you were just in a Dare commercial. Y'all remember Dare, the drug prevention? I was like, was this a Dare commercial? She was literally like, you want to smoke? You want to smoke? You want to smoke? And these girls were like, because they're very cute, very beautiful girls. And they think a lot of themselves and they work really hard on their grades. And, they consider themselves little athletes. Last thing they want to do is use any drugs. But it was literally like she was in a Dare commercial. Say they should arrest the kids and their parents. Now you're getting closer to where I'm thinking, Daphne. Now, I don't know whether arresting the children is the right thing, but I think some type of intervention with law enforcement is necessary. You remember the Dare program? Yeah. It was literally a Dare commercial is what these girls went through that entire day. And other children, because there were other children that weren't even questioned. But according to the kids, she approached the other children too, offering them drugs. So now I feel like, An investigation should be done to find out what's going on in that home. How can a child bring drugs to a campus, a public school campus, and no one contact law enforcement, or law enforcement don't go and check that home to find out, one, if this child has other drugs? Because let's just say the parents don't know, right? You put them out of school for it. What if the child has other illicit substances in their home and they go home and harm themselves, or go back to trying to distribute, or God knows what else? They literally right here in Houston in A-Leaf ISD are doing nothing. And I get the feeling they're doing a whole lot of nothing in a lot of other cities too. Christians say that's not helping the child by sending her away. Go check to see what's going on at home. They take kids away from parents for no reason. Now y'all have a reason and won't do nothing. That's what I'm saying. You know they will come and investigate in a minute if they know that I'll spank a kid of mine, which I don't care about you coming by here, because I'm going to whip anything in my house if I feel like it. Because we know me and Papa, we pay the cost to be the boss around here. But they will come and ransack your whole life and harass you if you're giving your children discipline. But now you got a child that's bringing illicit substances to a public school campus, and there's no investigation. Nobody's calling CPS. There's nobody going to investigate the home. Hey, Spiller. Hey, Egypt. What they're doing is just sending the child to alternative learning and sweeping it under the rug. And that's how I see it. I'm sorry. Dana says, not shocked. I see it every day. It's strong in Pittsburgh. I work for a medical system that's very large. ER full of overdoses. Wow. I'm telling you, the reality is they're not doing enough. And I'm getting the feeling that maybe they're not doing enough because they really don't care what happened to these children. Now, we're not in a Spring Branch or a Cy-Fair school district, or up in Humble where it's a bunch of clear children. Maybe they care a little bit more when it's clear children, but the demographic in A-Leaf ISD is majority minority students. I don't think I've seen 2 clear children since I've been here in Houston in this school district. Sassy Girl says alternative schools is like juvenile detention, but they need to check the parents real quick. Yeah, they need to find out exactly what's going on, where the child is coming from, with this stuff. If the parents don't know, let's get an investigation. How do you know that there's not an adult that's preying on this child and giving them these substances? How do we know the child is not being abused or molested? Like, there's so many things that really could be going on, and absolutely nothing is being done. And I get the feeling it's because they simply don't care. Daphne says, my little niece was caught under the stairs having sex in school. Oh my God. Saying that was her boyfriend. And a month later, him and 5 other boys were arrested for RAPE. Jesus. I'm telling you, Keisha, y'all better be paying attention. Watch these schools, because it's a lot going on. And unless you start really making these children talk, you won't know what's happening there, because the schools are not informing the parents. You say the alternative school probably full of weed heads. They need Joe Clark, lean on me. Exactly. And because that was my connotation, was that this sounds like baby jail. So you just going to put them in baby jail rather than trying to find out what's going on. Because I'm not sure if you guys are aware, there is a whole lot, right? There's a whole lot of predators that will start off by giving the children illicit substances to ease them into being able to prey on them sexually. And yet no one is even interested in finding out, where did this child get this stuff? Let's do an investigation. Don't just ask the kid, oh, who gave you that? Let's investigate and find out where this child got these substances from. A lady 747 says, I don't like alternative school solution. It's putting them on a path to prison. Intervention for everyone involved is needed, and a thorough investigation. I totally agree. That's the whole point. And they did nothing. And so, hey, Ashanti, let me see your comment. She says, around here, she would have been arrested for distribution and sent to an intervention program, pass the program, or go to jail. And I'm telling you, here in Houston, A-Leaf ISD, this particular school system, nothing was done. There was no arrest. And literally, they leave them at that school until they get their paperwork completed for them to go to the alternative learning center. So then this child is walking around here bitter and angry for 2 more days, trying to fight the whole world because she's mad because she got caught not only using, but trying to pass out illicit substances. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's a faulty way of handling things. Candy R says, as an educator, I would never recommend an alternative schools ever. Right. When I was a girl, they had alternative school for girls who got pregnant and like extremely violent children who refused not to be violent. That was like the next step before expulsion, like so you could still get your grades. Say, I'm here checking in and listening. You be out in the fields another hour. All right, Queen Mermaid. Now, Sassy Girl says nothing's going to happen until it hits the clear suburbs, like it did with heroin. They didn't care when it was our people doing it. Right. And that's the whole point. That's the part that scares me, is that the nothing, the inaction, their lack of care. Like, they just didn't care at all. Hey, Delicia, it was just straight up send her to alternative school. That's it. I'm still stuck on how this child was able to stand in the middle of a hallway in full view of a camera, puffing. Straight puffing, like nothing was going on, like she was perfectly normal to be doing what she's doing. Say, you still have that here, cope for the pregnant teens. Right. That I understood. You're pregnant. You really don't need to be around other children. You need to be learning what your life is about to turn into. Or should I say what you turned your life into with your choices. But this right here, this ain't it. This definitely ain't it. So, and then, like I said, when the kids started to relate to me how much other drug use is going on, none of this was related to the parents. Not any of it. None of it was related to the parents. And I'm that parent. I'm the pop-up, pull-up lady. Nobody said a word. Everybody's quiet. Mind you, these are the same people. They spend all their energy attacking girls for their dress code. Even when they're not out of dress code, they're worrying about what they're wearing. And yet somehow the fact that these children are using illicit substances, that seems to go right over their heads. And I mean right over their heads. And dare I say, it's because they simply don't care. Now, that's not that I'm saying all of the teachers and professionals don't. Clearly, there are some who do. But I feel like it's not nearly enough, and it's evidenced by the kind of things that are going on these campuses, and it's going unchecked. Queen Mermaid says it happens in the clear schools. It just doesn't make the news. You see, they have to keep clean records for Ivy League school. Right. That's true, too. I didn't consider that. Some teachers sell it to the kids. I had an English teacher that used to sell us weed. Oh, no. Yeah, we didn't have none of that now. They write the students off as lost causes in alternative programs, correct. It's all a sham, going through the motions. Right. That's exactly that's how I took it. It was like, we caught this little girl doing this. It's illegal. Throw her in the alternative school. Don't try to find out what happened. Don't try to find out where she got it from, or if this child is in any type of danger in her home, because clearly she's in a dangerous situation, or else how the hell did she get her hand on that? I don't care if mama is the Sunday school teacher and dad is the preacher. That situation is dangerous because obviously they're not watching her close enough. And she has access to things that can be harmful to her. Nothing took place. So then, me being me, I had to go digging and looking to see what else is going on with these schools. I said, okay, we mentioned about the schools before when we kept having those school shootings and close to Dallas and other places. So I said, okay, here we are again. We talking about these schools and what's going on. And I was not going to be quiet and not let y'all know, hey, if you got kids that age, don't think they too young. And my daughter, she's like a kid's kid. The other girls that she hangs around, like, they're really kids. They don't act grown. That's why this one girl behaving that way stuck out like a sore thumb. But no matter how, close you watch your child, no matter how close you keep your kid to you, just be aware that there are children out there who are no longer children mentally. They've been exposed to things they shouldn't have been exposed to. Hey, Queena, you at work? All right. I'm glad you stopped in, though. Always good to see you. Angie says, it's sad. They better pay attention. Remember Parkland here in Florida? Because they were clear country club folks. They got all the attention. Right. Correct. So when I went digging, y'all, guess what else I found out? So what it looked like was apparently there was an issue at, I think it's called Hawthorne Academy High School. Yeah, Hawthorne Academy High School in Charlotte, North Carolina. So apparently there was a sophomore student there. She reported sexual assault to the school officials. Reported it. Okay. They called the police. Police investigated the incident. They pressed charges against the minor kid for sexual battery. Then they turned around and accused the female student of filing a false report, and the school suspended her. The mother was so upset that she went, reaching out to the news or whatever. And now they're doing an ongoing investigation. Now, the problem is, the reason they're investigating at this point is because they want to see how this investigation was handled as far as in the school district, because this is Charlotte Mecklenburg School District up there. And apparently they've had more reported than that. Like, this wasn't the only one. This wasn't the only one at all. So it really made me feel like, okay, what is really going on at these schools? This is something, I don't know. They're saying they're being ignored. The fact that they're saying it was a false report. The police isn't saying it's a false report. The school is saying that. From what I understand. I'm not understanding why they're punishing the victim. Like, it's like if you keep looking, you're going to keep finding more situations where these children are in danger in these classrooms. Now, I mentioned it before and I'm mentioning it again, and I might bring it back a third time. Every time something jacked up like that happens, I'm going to say something. This doesn't make sense. I don't understand. I don't understand why they would have suspended this girl. I don't get it. I just don't get it. All I can say is be careful. There's a lot of things that don't make sense. The other week I was at the school. I actually saw somebody that was supposed to be a maintenance man, but hey, Alita, and he had a buggy or some sort of contraption. It looked like something he stole from the grocery store on the school campus, and he was just pushing it around empty. And all kind of thoughts went through my head. Listen, I don't know what the answer is, to be honest with you. But I can tell you I'm concerned. I'm a mother and I'm concerned. When we were in middle school, stuff happened. Like, we're not going to front. There were kids who snuck off and smoked reefer. But we didn't have this environment where people were literally coming to school trying to pass out drugs. And definitely have I never heard of a situation where the authorities were not involved and nobody called CPS. Nobody did anything to try and investigate. Like, I don't know. I don't know, y'all. What y'all think about this? Because this is a mess. Lita, how you doing? Let me see. Tina says schools like that, I think school officials are getting paid off. You know what? That's an interesting take on it. I think when we were talking before about the violence and whatnot in the schools, somebody mentioned, and I did go check, there was a story going around that there were principals getting kickbacks for not suspending students, even when they knew the children were problem students. Definitely saw some information on that. These kids have lost all their innocence from TV to social media. And let's not talk about Netflix. 365 days made me clutch my pearls and I wasn't wearing any. Now, what is 365 days about? And is that something we need to watch out? Say, ladies, you may need to consider putting a chip in your kids and loved ones. They are snatching kids off the street, literally. True. With a chip, you can track, you can check in on your kid at all times. Very, very true. Very, very true. I don't know about the chip, but it's got to be a way to track them other than the phones. Maybe the sole of the shoe. I'm not comfortable putting a chip in their bodies. I'll chip a dog. I can't chip my kid. But absolutely, they are snatching children, which is why I started kind of taking it on myself to drop those kids off at home, because I didn't want those girls walking. They're small enough, even if it's 2 or 3 of them, it wouldn't take very much for a carload of grown men to snatch those little bitty girls. And even if one got away, they would still catch some of them. JC said, nah, we do not need to watch 365 days. Okay, thank you for that. JC, if you say we do not need to watch it, I'll take your word for it, because you know I can't handle everything. I don't know. Hey, Miss G. You say late to the conversation, but you here. I'm glad you're here. We missed you. But that's my question. Like, what do we do? In all seriousness, what do we do? And y'all tell me what 365 days is about. I'm not going to watch it. I'm going to take your word. But tell me what it's about. And I feel like something definitely has to happen. And you can see the breakdown in the system as far as teachers really not paying attention. Teachers behaving like children. Teachers literally picking on children. You know, being antagonistic with children rather than being, you know, caretakers and teachers and nurturers. Like, something has got to happen. A lady 747 say raise hell at the school. Yeah, I mean, we can do that. We can raise hell. And then after we finish raising hell and going home, then what do we do? You know what I'm saying? What do we do then? Because I know for myself, I train mine right. But just like that, just that quick, there's a kid right there in the mix who doesn't have the same training, doesn't come from the same kind of home, and it absolutely does affect other children who are there. You say Bible study 7 days a week. Spiller, that's what I asked them. Somebody should tell me what 365 days is about. So you remember that show but never watched it. I didn't want to get triggered. Hey, Lily, you driving home and listening. All right, I'm glad you're here. Okay, let's see. Candy R says, for sure, it's a numbers game. If the numbers are down for suspensions and expulsions, it impacts funding in my state. The largest school district violated civil rights of African-American males. Problematic. Wow. Daphne says, teachers are not caring about these kids. True. Our minds have been warped. There's a sector in PORN, where actors are acting out being captured and victimized. Whoa. So there are people that's getting off to this stuff and have fantasies about this stuff. And what's to stop them from acting it out? Oh, it's bad Euro, PORE. Okay, yeah, no, thank you. Yeah, no, absolutely. I do not need to watch that. And Angie, what was you doing watching that? Miss G says, you are your child's advocate. Speak loud and long. One won't listen. Keep going till someone hears you. That's true too. That's true. Like we said before, like I really and truly feel like we need to start a letter writing campaign to these senators and these representatives, because yeah, everybody don't have the same home or parents. Very true. But we need to, because they got to change. And I feel like it needs to be uniformed across the board. I feel like there's too much freedom given to individual school districts to decide how they're going to handle something that appears to be a national problem. Now, if it was only happening in your one school district, then I can see you having complete autonomy. Can't nobody tell you nothing. But they need to work this out on a national level rather than trying to sneak $450,000 to illegals who are breaking in. And they're still trying to say that it's a case for it because it'll be cheaper than fighting them in court. How do you fight them in court? We have to get permission to sue the government. So why wouldn't they have to get permission to sue? But that's another thing. So I'm going to shut up about that. Media keeps showing us Texas schools are treating Black kids horribly. They do. I consider taking my kids out of public schools. Yours are old enough, so keep doing what you're doing. You're a great mom. Thanks so much. I appreciate that. I'm a veteran. That's what that is. You can't write it normally in the chat. I don't want the algorithm to affect you negatively. Oh, I got you. I know what you meant. Yeah, we're not going to watch that. Maybe redistrict the schools to stop the divides. That goes to local elected officials. Now, that's a good one, D. Marie. So then the question would be, do you think that the response would be equal for clear and minority children in the event that something like this took place if they did redistrict and bus kids out to other districts? Because that might be a solution, to break up some of these areas and I think redistricting is not a bad idea. In my opinion, it's really not. And I think that keeps the school districts honest to a certain degree too, because you can't just accidentally oops, we gave all the funding to this school where it just happens to be a majority of clear students. Yeah, I bet you learn a whole bunch from these children. These kids are scary. You said since the pandemic, many Black parents aren't sending their kids back and they started group homeschooling. Now, see, if it was some group homeschooling around here, I would definitely want to be in on it. One of the only reasons that I did allow Emerald to go back was because she wanted to be around her friends. A lot of these children during the pandemic, they went through a lot because they did not have social contact with other children their age. Some children did. They had their friends in the neighborhood. They were still playing or whatever. Then you had other children that did not. There was a story that came out. This was a clear gentleman and his family. The young boy, of course, had been on lockdown with everybody else. Definitely Deandra. And so they were planning a party for him. He lost his cool, broke his controller on his video game console. I don't remember which one, so I don't want to tell it wrong. Some of y'all may have seen that story as well. And so he cut grass, did stuff, earned money, bought it back. And so his dad was like, next time you do that, you're going to be in trouble. So the boy lost his cool and broke the new controller. So he thought that they was going to cancel his birthday party and he wasn't going to get to see anybody. And the video game and the birthday party, that was going to be like his only contact with other children his age. The child was getting depressed. His parents were unaware. When he broke that controller, he had an outburst, lost his cool, and he self-harmed. He hurt himself, killed himself. I can't say the S word. And so then the parents are there. They go in the room and he's hanging on the back of the door. I said all that to say this. We have a multi-pronged problem that we're facing. Just because them was clear people, don't think it can't happen to one of our kids. It can. These kids ain't like us. Most kids, when we was coming up, you didn't hear about no Black children doing stuff like that. But this is something that's very real in our community now. We have children who are extra fragile and sensitive, and you don't know how they're taking things, and they could go and hurt themselves because they're isolated. Okay? The truth of the matter is that just like I'm always telling us here when we have crown chats and different talks, you need human contact. It's necessary for your psyche. It's necessary for you to be mentally healthy. Miss G said, I would give an arm and a leg for the world to slow down. These kids are seeing things and growing up too fast. Kids are not equipped to handle all this. They're not. Yeah, this was during the pandemic. And I very seldom watch television, but it was on television. They actually, were talking about, this is one of the dangers of these children being isolated. And I think we all better be watching their mental health. And now that they're back in schools, I think they're acting really wild and crazy because now they have access to their peers again. And so, There's some bad influences and whatnot, and we got to really watch it. And I think keeping them isolated from other children is not necessarily the answer. Hey, Kim Bird. Yeah, Angie, you're right. We were built different. Like, we had real stuff. I had friends whose mothers were whole crackheads. They just ate at my mama's house and we kept it moving. We didn't hear about nobody harming themselves. But right now, that's a part of our reality, whether we want to accept it or not. This is really, this is what it is. Alita said it happened to my coworker's kid. He was 15. He was 15. Now her younger child is displaying the same signs and behavior. This is sad and horrible. Exactly. So we got to deal with the psychological issues of isolation, depression, not being able to, you know, their state of normal has been disrupted. We got to deal with sending them back to campuses with teachers who clearly do not want to be there. And they have doing their jobs. And into the belly of the beast, where we have children who are almost predatory in nature because of their home environments or lack thereof. A lady 747 says the parents are wild and crazy. If adults are fighting on airplanes, can you expect the kids to be better? Honestly, no. Honestly, no. We can't expect them to be better. But we better come up with something. Now, that part I do know. Because if isolating them from everybody isn't the answer, and trusting the people at the schools to actually watch the children, you know, their job, you know, trusting them to actually do their jobs, if that ain't the answer, and forget law enforcement, they might mess around and kill one of our babies. We better figure out what the answer is, and I mean quick. Because what's clear to me, if nothing else, we in trouble. That really shook me up. And I'm telling you, if you all could have seen this little kid, you never would have thought, just by looking at this child, that she was in that condition, that she's using drugs and offering them to other children. And it makes me wonder if someone sent her to do it. Everything in my belly is telling me someone sent that child to do that. I don't think that was something she decided to do. She's been at school with them the whole time. She's been talking grown the whole time, according to the kids. But she never mentioned drugs. And all of a sudden, she's mentioning them and trying to hand them out and using them right there on the campus. Something's going on. And it's not just this kid. This is not an isolated incident. This is a regular occurrence. The Alternative Learning Center here in Houston is packed full. It says, when we went in high school, we had a neighbor friend who tried to hang himself. He was not successful, changed his total skin color. It was awful. The only time I experienced that, he was teased so much after. Yeah, he was teased after because it wasn't normal. Yeah, another form of segregation. Facts. What you say? You say follow my gut. Because, yeah, my gut is telling me somebody sent that kid there to do that. That child had not done that. Like, I could see that she was a little grown. She was presenting as more mature, which definitely said she's been exposed to some things. Her behaviors, her mannerisms. I was even concerned that maybe somebody had been touching this kid. But I did not expect to get the report that it was illicit substances and distribution that I was going to have to worry about when it came to her interaction with my child. You say our parents parented us. Sorry to say, some parents are not doing their jobs. Girl, don't be sorry to say it. It's the truth. They should make counseling free for kids and teens, especially our children, because they aren't able to handle stress like we used to. I finally got help for my mental health. Yeah, a lot of us did after we got grown. You say, honestly, it sounds like she's interning for a dealer. Right. That's exactly what I'm thinking, Ashanti. That's why, you know, everything in me like just turned inside out when their answer was send her to alternative learning and that'll be cool. That's not the answer. Right. It was really, and Glenn has hit the nail on the head. Somebody's grooming that girl. Somebody is grooming that girl, and they're giving her an impression like, oh, you're grown. See how grown up you are. You're mature. And a lot of times when men do that to girls, it's so that nobody will be able to correct them or help them later. They'll be walking around like that 18-year-old girl that's married to the dirty grandpa. Y'all know who I'm talking about. The one that's supposed to have been her goddad that she ended up marrying. That's what happens when you groom girls. Nobody can really save them because now their mindset is kind of in on the same frequency as their attacker. Dr. J says, my son was homeschooled till he was in high school level, but at the same time, he took college classes online. My father didn't want his kids learning a bunch of lies in those textbooks. Yeah, that's cool. That's real cool. But for the children, it's still out there. And you got to judge for yourself. Like me looking at my kid, I don't think isolation was the best look for her. She's already quiet. She got to where she barely talked at all. It was like, no, you got to go around other children. But unfortunately, there are other children that nobody is keeping safe. Like nobody is keeping them safe at all. You see, it's not the answer because she'll bring the drugs to the alternative school. Right. That was my other question. What stops them from taking the same behavior to the alternative learning center that they were practicing right there at the regular school? What's going to make a difference? What changes? And that's what nobody could tell me because I asked questions. Y'all know I got a big mouth. I asked questions because I needed it to make sense. Glenda says for her to just come back to school, for her to just come to school and started puffing on vape in the hallway of the school, I would have never thought of doing that. Yeah, she talking about raising money for her nephew. Right. When she said that, I didn't question her because I didn't want it to look like I was picking somebody else's child. But Glennis, when she said that, and she was talking about a few $100s, my mind immediately went to who gave this little girl a few $100s and how did she raise the few $100s? If this is her sister's child, why wouldn't her mother just throw the child a party if the child needed a party? You know, since she's the grandma. Where is the grandma? Why is the sister sitting there with a baby and the baby's walking to the park and nobody noticed it? Where was the child's mother? Like I had at that moment, before we even got to her saying that she had access to a pow pow that she would take to the park, my mind immediately was like, what kind of house is this? I'm thinking, okay, this kid is home. She's watching a kid. She's too little to be a babysitter. She's watching a child like an adult. She even made reference to her calling her sister and saying, just bring me my baby. I don't want to talk to you. Just bring me my baby. And I'm sitting there like, this girl is not grown. Why is she trying to sound like an adult? Who has her doing this? Say, can you call a meeting with the other girl's parents? I think I should. And as a group, demand an investigation. Maybe the other parents don't even know. That's a good point. That is a very good point. I like the idea of that one. I think I'm going to jump on that. Even if they don't want to meet up, we can do a conference call or something. Angie, I'm telling you, that's how this kid was talking. That's why that was like the first day I really had kind of really interacted with her, like one-on-one to kind of gauge her and pick up on her, you know, her energy and how she talks and whatever. There's some of the people that moved here from New Orleans. And there's a whole lot of folks that moved to Houston from New Orleans. So I was just like, oh, okay, that's cool. Cute kid. And when she started talking, I was like, no, this baby has been exposed to way too much. You think she's raising herself? Yeah, right? That's what I'm saying. Something's up. Something's up. So like I said before, these parents are being their children's friends instead of parenting. I wonder if the parent is around at all. Hey, Charles, it's been so long. Say they need Dr. Umar Johnson on the case. I don't know what Umar could do with this. I think we need a mental health professional. I think we need somebody who has a nice social work degree and actually wants to see what's best for the children in that environment, because there are at least 2 underage children in that environment. And the 6-year-old is there and her. And I get the impression that nobody is watching either one of them. You missed the first part. Okay. You say she don't realize you that type of mama. No, she didn't get it. She didn't. That's why she was speaking so freely. And that was the other thing, Angie, that kind of like, again, red flags, alarms going off in my head. Most children, when they see certain types of mamas, mamas like me, their first instinct is to clam up. I mean, they clam up quick when they see these kind of mamas come around, because they're like, okay, those mamas don't play. But she spoke so freely because she's not been mothered. And that was the impression I got. Lord, don't run my Charles off. I miss Charles. Lennon say, yeah, she missing hugs and love. She lost her childhood and she needs help. Right. At 14, this kid is talking about she's sneaking and driving cars, got access to pow-pows, and offering people illicit substances. Now, I would be heartbroken if it was just one kid, but I know for a fact this is something that is not in, this isn't just existing in a vacuum. This is not the only child in this situation. Yeah, flags all over the place. 100-yard penalty. Right. I think I'm gonna do what a lady 747 says first, and that's sit down with the other parents, the other mamas, and kind of let them know what's going on. And then as a group, we're gonna go to that school and see what's happening, And at this point, we don't even know how to approach the kid because right now she's angry. What you say, Lily? You say, true, I've lived it. You know what, y'all? Lily has a book that y'all need to read. I got to get it, actually. She was on her live and she was reading passages from her book. I'm telling you, it's a page turner. And she's giving y'all her experiences as a child who went through some very difficult situations. I ain't going to tell them what the book is about, Lily. Now, if you want to tell them, I'll let you tell them. But I ain't going to tell, what the book is about. I'm going to let you do it. But it's, from what I could hear from the passages she was reading, definitely a page turner and an eye opener. Angie said, this is generational trauma. I think so. And this does not exist in a vacuum. This is what I'm trying to say. Doesn't exist in a vacuum. This is not the only kid. This cute little girl who has been absolutely stripped of her childhood is not the only one who's been stripped of her childhood. Candy R says, wow, that's a lot, but you're a different kind of mother. Those instincts, God quicken your spirit. That child is in trouble. Yeah, that's kind of what's kind of getting my belly like, something ain't right. Something definitely ain't right in this situation. But I had to say something about it because I know this isn't the only kid. I know most of us here, some of the ladies here, I know some of y'all don't have children, but most of us here are mothers. We're sending our children to school with children in these situations. And I just witnessed firsthand what happens when they're problematic environments and when those dangerous homes, those environments, when they spill over onto the campus and then they start to affect the other children. I feel like this more than anything should let us know this is not a them problem. This is a us problem. Okay. Yep. So this is the name of her book, The Purple Cinderella, Surviving Multiple Childhood R Words. It's her autobiography and it is on Amazon. Okay. I'm telling you guys, it's, trigger warning, but it's worth reading. I'm going to say that. I'm going to grab mine today. But we got to pay attention. We cannot be looking at it like it's a them problem. And I know we get in the habit of saying it's them because most of us don't live like that. Let's just be honest. We don't. And thank God for you, Lily, because you survived it. You came out of it. You are beautiful. You are an example to other women. And you're an example to women who've never been through anything or survived anything anywhere near as traumatic. But there's so many of us who have absolutely no insight or no point of reference for this type of thing. And then before you know it, you find yourself coming in contact and coming nose to nose with this type of thing that you feel that you probably felt like you would never experience or you would never have to deal with because that's them. And we don't do stuff like that. And it's real cool to say it's them because it's true for the most part. However, it ain't a them problem, y'all. It's a us problem. Because when little black children go to school, who are normally their friends? Other little black children, right? Right. Right. I'm telling you. Dana says that it's an American problem. Now, I ain't studying about the mother folks, but I'm just saying us, as in us, you know, melanated folks. We got to pay attention because we don't talk about it much within our community, but there is a bit of a class system. Whether y'all want to admit it, talk about it or not, it exists. Glennon says, I'm a mom of 3 males and females, plus 1 special needs. Yeah, I consider myself super mom. All right, girl. But this is what I'm trying to say. The class system exists. We all live within it, whether we want to, outwardly express it or not. We do kind of see a certain subset of the black community as a them problem. That's right, Lily. Tell them again, us, we go through it the most. And what happens is, I think on a certain level, there are certain ones of us who have the mindset that, that's those people. That's them. We don't do that. That's how things get swept under the rug. Even in some of the homes that are more well-to-do, where the parents are not below the poverty level, black families I'm talking about, they're more apt to sweep it under the rug because they don't want to let it out that this happened in their home because, that's not supposed to affect us. That's a them problem. So the classist behavior and attitudes, it exists, and sometimes it can make us, even though we don't mean it in any way, it's just naturally there to a certain degree. It can make you turn a blind eye and not realize your children are going to school with everybody. So your child may have a friend that's from somewhere else, and they're experiencing something that your child has never, ever, ever been exposed to. And I think this is just one of those huge blaring examples of when those environments boil over and spill over onto the campuses where our children are attending school. That these are our children's friends. These are their contemporaries. Egypt now said, this is a powerful conversation. I pray for the children every day. So much going on and happening to the children nowadays. It hurts my heart. Girl, mine too. But I like that a lady 747 gave me that idea. That's why I said, let me talk to my sisters because I figured y'all would come up with some solutions. Lily, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate it so, so, so much. I appreciate you supporting the channel. You say, I always hated what happened in this house stays in this house. Yes. Yes. Now, I think that's perfectly okay when we talking about, mama's money business. You don't talk about your mama's bills and stuff like that. But if you're being harmed, you might want to say something if you can. Nisi says, I have an 11-year-old and he tells me about another child in his class who talks about things beyond his years. And you better be concerned. You cannot shield your kids from other kids completely. You can't. We need to look out for all of them. And that's what I'm getting. Like, I always try to, like I said, I do my best to kind of be everybody's mama as much as I can within reason, because I'm only human. Even though y'all know I go overboard doing stuff. But the reality is, even at that, things slip through the cracks. Like, I picked up that the kid was a little too adult content and maybe had been exposed to some things, but I did not expect what I got. Absolutely didn't expect what I got. And I want y'all to just be vigilant, be careful. We're going to continue to be positive. We're going to continue to make positive impact. But in the midst of us making a positive impact, we got to also be mindful that in giving and doing and showing love, we got to also keep our eyes open because these children are all of our responsibility. Okay? Auntie Eva, oh, you here? She said, been in the bushes, listening, compelling conversation. Yeah, we gotta do better. I'm gonna read a couple more comments, and then y'all know, Mama has got to get on the roll. Y'all hear them keys? Say yes. You have to be involved in your children's lives. Know who they're around. I'm that go-to mom. Also, a lot of them don't get guidance at home. It's true. Hi, Dora. All right, guys. Listen, I don't see no more comments to read. I've been trying to keep up with them as best we could. It's nice when we don't have too many people because then I can keep up with y'all's comments better. Um, if y'all hit the like button, thanks again. If you haven't hit it, please hit that like button on your way out. We will be back later. Like I mentioned, we got to have a family meeting, and movie night is also tonight. So I'm going to hop out for now. I got to go get Miss Thing from cheerleading. Hopefully no more horror stories today. I would like that very much. And I will talk to you guys in like a couple of hours, something like that, right? All right. I'll see y'all later. Stay positive, stay productive, stay encouraged, and remember to encourage somebody else. I'll talk to y'all later, okay? Bye now.